That music there. Little NFL today, week 6 coming up. Huge week. A couple of things from last week. 3 things. Viking fan, Chris Carter, Dave Scholl telling you like it is. NFL today. Nice bright and early, 6:40 in the morning. Before we go into the fall league for basketball. But a couple of things. My Vikings last week, not maturity. I tell you during the week, game was about maturity. Team's getting 16 points a game. You're up 21-3. We're still rushing 4 guys out of the 3-4. Middle's wide open. Again, we make Chicago quarterback look like a mini Joe Montana. We did come back and win again against the Kirk, 3-game winning drives, but not a mature football team. Again, I'm happy we won, but I'd like to see us play better. 4-1, but one of the worst 4-1 teams. The worst 4-1 Viking team I can remember. Played really well versus Green Bay, really bad versus the Eagles, and sloppy versus other 3 teams, letting them back in the game with a crappy pass rush and never changing our defense. And Donatel seems to be lost. Let's get to Coach Rivera. Coach Rivera, it's time for that charade to be gone. I know the man had cancer and all, but Jesus Christ. I mean, you say, what's the difference between the other teams in the NFC East and yourself? And you say quarterback, and then later in the week when a guy gets crushed, you say he doesn't deserve that. Well, that's such the BS of today. Either you said it or you didn't, and we have recording. So you said it. You said quarterback. So you brought that on yourself. So stuck it up. Quit being a fake. I know you won 12-7 the other night. You're 2-4, and so are the Bears now. And then Coach Staley. We have a word for coaches like Coach Staley. It's just beyond stupid. It's moronic. 4th and 2, you punt the fucking ball away. You also run the clock. You're not throwing the ball up, and you also kick the field goal to go up 6. You don't try to get a first down later in the game. It's just incredible, stupid coaching again these days. And again, it's you hire these guys who got their head in their play sheet a lot of times, but can they coach a team? Can they lead? Can they handle a team? Well, we're gonna have to find out, because right now it looks like that answer could be no. Some really big games this week. Like I said, Commodores, Redskins stay slept. Beat the Bears, both 2-4, both pretty much done. So that's the toilet bowl game. I'm sure Thursday night had great ratings for that piece of crap. 49ers have resurrected their season, 3-2 at the Falcons, 2-3. That's a huge game for the Niners. We'll see if they mature. Falcons have been stubborn. Mariota's had a little rebirth here. Falcons have been a stubborn team. I would say that the Niners could find a way to win the game, but hey, you never know. Yeah, indoor game going across the country, always tough. I think the Falcons have a fighting chance because the Niners just play so close to the vest offensively. I just think that they have limitations. Patriots at the Brownies. Pats 2-3, Brownies 2-3. One of the highest scoring team in NFL history went in to play Belichick last week, and how'd that work out? And that's why he's the best football coach of all time. It's not even close. So he has a team averaging 40 plus a game against some pretty good teams. What does he do? He comes in, holds them to like 3 points, kicks their butt, gets a win. Just because he knows how to play tempo, he knows how to run the clock. He's not Staley. He's not Ron Rivera. He's not Donatel on defense. He's also not Hackett with the Broncos. By the way, first bye week. By the way, we got 4 teams in the bye. We'll get to that later. Jets, so happy for Coach. So happy for Coach. A couple of weeks back, he challenged the media, and then the media all ran after him. But he's won 3 games in a row since, and all of a sudden everybody's quiet in the media. And you know what? I'm rooting hard for him. I'm not a Jet fan, but this guy, all he did was say how negative the media was. He called them out. He said he's going to remember who the negative media was for when they fix it. And the media, just a bunch of pansies, a bunch of wuss bags, all overreacted. He got all upset, like, oh, he's attacking us. Well, shut up. Don't attack him. You want to attack you, and he can attack you in your job too. It's like the Seinfeld episode when he goes back and ridicules the lady at the office. And you're entitled to get ridiculed too. Ridicule me. I don't give 2 craps what you think. So big game for the Jets at the Pack. I think the Pack is in a bad mood, but the Pack has shown on offense that they're just not ready. They're up 17-3 on the Giants last week. And again, they just get too complicated, and they're running the ball well. Some bitterness in the locker room. You can hear the running backs talking about how they're not getting the ball enough, and they're right. They got 2 good running backs. That's a good football team. I think that they're missing enough weapons on the outside, but Lazard has got to step up. He's been getting better, but not enough. I like the Pack at home today. Not a stretch to say that. The Jets have definitely shown some improvement. Problem with the Jets is they're in a tough division again. We'll have to see how that goes. Jags, really bad game last week. Big stumbling game. Had a chance to get 3-2 against the Texans, and it looked like they might be real the week before against the Eagles, but big division game today. One of the bigger nut cutting games today. 2-3 Jags, 2-1 Colts. Colts have kind of resurrected this season here, but the winner here will be in pretty good shape with a division win. Nice 1:00 start. I would expect maybe Matt Ryan to figure it out, but Doug Peterson plays so much by the seat of his pants, you just never know. I would take the Colts probably in that game. My Vikings, my Chris Carter jersey here down in Miami. And again, this is one of those things that coaches get to figure out over time. It's some of these things break your way. And so here we are playing a backup again. We're not playing just a backup, playing a backup to a backup. So we don't get Teddy. We don't get Tua. And this is a good fortune game. And I am fortunate for it. And I'll be very happy for it. But again, will the Vikings be mature enough and blitz a kid? Or are we going to play a milquetoast 3-4? We never get a pass rush, never send a fifth guy. Last week, a couple of times, we sent a fifth guy, and Harrison Smith made a couple of deflection plays. And what do you know? We forced the quarterback to throw before he wanted to, and it worked out. But we just have to find a way. Really believe we have a very talented team. I just don't think we're being coached that well. And again, our offense, our running game has not been good. I know Cookie's broken one or two off every week to make it look salvageable, but it's not been a consistent running game, and that's a big concern. First part of the half, we did a great job with Jefferson, but then we're forgetting Thielen. I don't know why we're not just understanding that we can mix it up and get different guys open at different points in the game. But I still feel like we're in good shape. We're 4-1. If we could ever get this game being 5-1, would be a miracle. I never thought it would be 5-1 this year. But again, a couple of things have broken right for us. The Saints, we just tried to give that game away versus a bunch of backups in every position of life. We got double doink, which again, last year we would have lost. We lost. Last year we had 14 games decided by 1 point, 1 possession or less, and we went 6-8 in those games. And so far we've had 3 close games. We've won all 3. And there's your difference. It's the same thing with the Bengals now. The Bengals are 2-3. And then next game there versus the Saints. And here's the Bengal team that last year won every one of those games and be 5-0. So again, it's that close in the NFL between 3 and 4 p.m. as Mike Francesa used to say is the witching hour. Not a big fan of Mike sometimes, but at least he was right about that. Big game that way across conference here. You say, well, how could a cross conference game be big? Well, both teams are 2-3, and I still think the Saints have something left in the tank. I just think the Bengals are going to be in a really bad mood, and they probably have a little bit more. We have to see how healthy the Saints are. I know they're getting healthy, but we have to see if they're healthy enough. Bengals at the Saints. I would pick the Bengals, but I think the Saints have a fighter's chance. So I feel fortunate. If you're the Bengals, you have to feel a little bit fortunate. We're playing the Saints, who are still banged up, just like the Vikings are feeling fortunate with the Dolphins. So we have to find a way to win that football game as a Viking fan. Maturity, just like last week versus the Bears. And same thing for the Bengals here. See if you can go into New Orleans, which is a tough place to play. I'd be on high alert for that game. It's going to be an excellent game, 1:00. Ravens 3-2 at the Giants 4-1. Giant fans have to be really excited. And this is what I said last week, call all my Giant buddies, and coaching matters. And again, the alarming quote a couple of weeks ago from Boomer Esiason here in New York is, well, gee, he really coached to win the game. Isn't that what we do every freaking week? Aren't you supposed to coach to win every game? Does anybody ever just say, well, I'm going to coach to get my stuff in? Yeah, if you're down 40 in the fourth quarter in a basketball game, you might work on some stuff because the game's over. But you coach every game to win until the situation determines that you're not going to win. Giants 4-1, and Wink Martindale, Jesus Lord, he's got to know Jackson better than anybody, and he's done a great job as a defensive coordinator. And that's what I like about Dable too. He goes out and hires a guy and is not afraid to just go get the best guy. He didn't hire necessarily all his buddies. He didn't pull an Andrew Jackson. A few American history fans out there. He didn't practice patronage, but the spoil system. But the thing is, Ravens at the Giants should be fun. Ravens need this game. I think they're so much better than a 3-2 record. I think they're having a really good year. They're a little banged up too. Giants just can't get enough weapons on the field. You feel bad for Shepard obviously being out. Can't get Tony on the field. Galladay looks like a mess. He was a decent player in Detroit, but he was putting up false numbers when they were losing a lot. Big game for the Giants. They could ever get to 5-1. I mean, 77% of the teams that go 4-1 make the playoffs. So the Giants and the Vikings are both in great shape as far as that goes. Later in the year, they do play. There'll be a big NFC positioning game, assuming that they both get in. Buccaneers 3-2 at the Steelers 1-4. This is the worst Steeler team we've seen in some time. I think it's smart if they play Kenny Pickett, let him grow up a little bit, and they'll steal some games between here and there because I think they're well coached. Mike Tomlin's a good captain of the ship, and I think they'll find a way to hold on to some things. But the Bucks, I feel, would have a good chance to win this game at the Steelers. Again, the Bucks just got to protect the quarterback. Got those, you loosen your offensive line over the offseason, and then you're banged up. And we just have to see what goes on from there. Hopefully, Tom Brady can concentrate with what's going on in his life. Panthers 1-4 at the Rams. Not a good spot for the Panthers. The Rams are a miserable 2-3. They don't look good doing it. Panthers just fired Rule, so I'm sure they'll get a bounce out of that. Baker's not been accurate. Baker, had the Browns on the verge of beating the Chiefs a couple of years ago, and his career since then has not been solid. He was all banged up last year and played hurt, but everybody loves to kill Baker. We all know why that is. But he played hurt anyway, which most guys wouldn't. But I don't think it's a good spot for the Panthers here. The Rams got to have this game. Rams go to 2-4. We can start putting them in the coffin a little bit. I know we got a 17-game season, but you can't be making up games, especially in that division where there's some tough teams in that division. Cardinals 2-3 at the Seahawks 2-3. Biggest game of the week, in my opinion. I guess it's a division game. It's a nut cutting game. The winner is going to be 500 and looking to salvage something. Seahawks have had some really strange wins and some really bad losses, so they're a strange team. I'm looking for the Cardinals to get right this week. Hopkins is back, I believe, after next week. 2-3 at 2-3. I would look for the Cardinals to find a way to win this game. But Pete Carroll, again, coaching matters, showing you how good he is. To have this team even be competitive is ridiculous. This is a bad football team, and he's got them going. And without missing a beat, Geno Smith, who was leading the league in passing a couple weeks ago, as the history of football, had the highest completion percentage in the history of football after 4 weeks. Is dipped below the radar after last week, but still 2-3. Happy for Geno. Want to see this game? Big game of the week, 4:00. Bills 4-1 at the Chiefs. Everybody's calling this the game of the week. It's an amazing division game last year at the end of the season, the playoffs, which was like a pinball game. I felt like both those teams should win, but I want to see which team can stand up and mix up the defensive coverages, and then that's going to decide this game. I know the big stars are both quarterbacks, but whichever defense holds off better. And when you're playing these games, it's really your worst unit versus their worst unit. So in this case, that's not going to get matched up, because I know that both of them are pretty solid all the way around, but both of them are just high-powered offenses. So it's a situation where, again, who has the ball last, maybe a couple of turnovers here, as always, decides the game. But I'm looking forward to watching that. It's not my kind of game. Like I said, everybody else will be watching that. I'm sure the rating will be off the hook, but I like to see some of these other games. Both of these teams are very good. Definitely is the national game of the week. Like I said, it's not my game of the week as far as importance, but I'm just one guy. I'm telling it like it is. Cowboys 4-1 at the Eagles 5-0. That is a big game too. It's a division game, definitely huge. I'm looking for the Eagles to play a little bit better than they did the last couple of weeks. They've had some shoddy play, but I'm sure that people are starting to make adjustments to them. We'll find out all about Cooper Rush as Dak's hand gets better and better and better. And if you're the Cowboys, what do you do when Dak's healthy again? I say you got to stay with Cooper Rush. I mean, he's 4-0. Go back to last year, he's 5-0. Cowboys are looking good. Mike McCarthy usually finds a way to screw these things up, so we'll have to see. So we'll see Cowboys and Eagles tonight. That's a big game, but tomorrow's Monday, so I don't know if I can stay up and watch that. We'll find out. Broncos at the Chargers. Really, really, really big game for the Broncos. 2-3. Fans leaving in the beginning of overtime before the game's even over. During the coin flip, fans leaving. Denver fan base really unhappy with Hackett. How can you be John Elway and not have a sense of this guy? Yeah, he coached Brett Favre as the offensive coordinator. Yeah, but you're coaching Brett Favre, who doesn't even, Hackett didn't even call the plays. So what did he really do? Coaching Brett Favre, not Brett Favre, my bad, Jesus Christ. Coaching Aaron Rodgers, they should say. Mistake here, I'm telling like it is, happens all the time. We don't edit, so I'm not worried about it. So, you coached a guy in Aaron Rodgers who's, so talented, top 15, 20 talented guys ever played the position, and you didn't even call the plays. All right. So if you're not calling the plays, like, what is your role as offensive coordinator? I mean, what do you quality control? You making the copies and getting the coffee? I mean, John Elway just hired a lemon. This man, again, head in the play sheet, no idea how to run a team. And we can speak to that because we've been coaching a while. This is just not a good look. Not a good look. And if the Broncos don't get this done today, 2-4, he could be the guy who's fired in the first 6 or 7 games of his career. It could be the first one you ever see happen there. Urban Meyer did get fired in his first year. But this guy could beat the record here. This guy might be the first guy. And he just looks clueless as well. And I'm not talking about a physical appearance. He actually, the way he runs the game is just clueless. And Denver fans are not happy with the product. And I can't blame them. So those are the big games this week on Telling Like It Is. And again, it's a very exciting time of year.